What's going on, preppers? Hope you guys are doing very well today. It is Friday. It is April the 15th. If you're brand new to the channel, consider subscribing to the channel. I'm trying to get on here a lot more regularly. Sometimes, life gets in the way and I just kind of can't allocate the time needed to make another video. But I'm on here today, guys. I hope you guys are doing very well. Easter Sunday is in a couple days, so get those eggs ready for your kids. Speaking of eggs, eggs are more and more expensive. I don't know if you guys have been to the grocery stores lately, but if your grocery store happens to have eggs and the shelves are not empty, we're seeing increased prices with eggs, increased prices with chicken, and of course, with this whole bird influenza thing going on. There's a reduced supply in egg production and all sorts of chicken related, poultry related products. So there's that to deal with. But I wanted to jump on here today because I'm really, really concerned, and I don't want to worry people. That is not my goal here. I just want to share my thoughts on a few things today, namely inflation, the housing market, not so much food supply today, not so much food shortages today, but namely inflation and the housing market. Now, Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve has recently raised interest rates 0.25%. And the interesting thing, though, is even though the Fed only raised, and I'm not some, formally educated economist by any means. I'm just like you guys. I'm looking at the situation and trying to make informed decisions and kind of thinking out loud with my community here, which is why I like you guys. I just try to bring it to you 100. And I hope it's not too loud, but my neighbor is cutting the grass just as soon as I decided to record this video. But anyway, housing market. One of the biggest things I'm concerned about is the Fed raised the interest rates by 0.25%. However, if you look at the interest rates, we went from roughly 3% maybe 8 months ago. You can get a 30-year fixed rate mortgage for 3%. Today, you try to get a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, even with your prime grade credit rating of 740 credit score or higher, you're going to be looking somewhere between 4.5% and maybe even 5% on your 30-year fixed rate mortgage today. Now, that is a roughly 1.5% to 2% interest rate increase from 8 months ago, after only a 0.25% interest rate increase from the Fed. So I don't quite understand. If you guys can help me figure this out, how does a 0.25% increase from the Fed increase interest rates by almost 2%? It doesn't make any sense. It would seem to me like interest rates should have only gone up by roughly the same amount that the Fed increased their interest rates, because banks borrow their money from the Federal Reserve. Anyway, I digress. The point that I want to make here with you guys is this. Many people are sitting on the sideline and saying, hey, I want to buy a house. I haven't bought a house yet. I'm going to wait for this housing market to crash. And I'm getting more and more concerned because fewer and fewer people are able to qualify as these interest rates are going up. And why are they not able to qualify? Because the houses that they're looking for, it's not like they can't qualify for anything, but they're not able to qualify for the houses that they want. So let's just say 4 months ago, you're able to qualify for a $400,000 house, right? Because your debt to income ratio allowed that to happen. Now let's just say you fast forward to today, maybe you can't qualify for a $400,000 house anymore because the interest rate has gone from, say, 3% to 5%. And that would, as a matter of fact, I'm going to do the math with you guys. So let's look at this. So here we have, and I pulled this up, I wanted to share this with you guys. Here we have $400,000 mortgage, because that is the median income, or that is the median home price here in the United States as of today. And sorry about that. I was getting a phone call in the middle of my video. Median home price here in the United States is $400,000. The monthly payment without, property taxes and insurance included in that payment is $1,686, right? That's at a that's at a 3% interest rate. We can't get those anymore. So now we have to change this 3% interest rate to whatever today's rate is. Today is, let's just say, it's 4.5%. So you went from 1686, let's just call it $1,700 to $2,027. So your interest, your mortgage payment went up by $330 ish, $340, right? Now here's the thing. Now, if let's just say you were approved previously at $400,000, in order to get that old payment down to where it was, in order for you to get that $1,686 payment, you now have to reduce the budget for how much you're going to spend on your house. So let's try to get that $1,686 payment back, right? So let's just punch in $350,000, right? So we punch in $350, we're still over $1,686, so we got to drop this even more. So let's just say $330. All right, that's pretty close. All right, we'll just stop there, right? So now that means for you to be able to afford that same $400,000 house at the current interest rate, you now have to find a house that is priced at $330,000. Guys, I hope you guys are seeing what I'm putting down, or picking up what I'm putting down here, because basically, because interest rates have moved, what you could have paid per month for a $400,000 house is now putting you into a $330,000 house. Meaning, if you want that previous mortgage payment of $1,686 on a $400,000 house, with today's interest rates, you can't spend more than $330,000. So what's really scary to me is, number one, for housing prices to crash. Let's just say, you're waiting on this crash, right? You would have to hypothetically wait for that $400,000 house to crash down to $330,000, and that's assuming interest rates don't go any higher than they already are. So if you're a renter, if I'm a renter and I'm looking to buy, I'm really scared, because your dream home, or your dream to realize home ownership, is getting further and further and further out of reach. Because I mean, even if we had a housing market crash, let's say 10%, which is huge, 10% housing market crash is historically very unusual. In fact, the only massive housing market crash of 10% or more that I even found looking at historical data was during the 2008 crash. So, needless to say, it's not impossible, it's just highly unlikely for that to happen. So with that being said, even if you got a 10% crash in the housing market, that $400,000 house, if it crashed 10%, is now minus $40,000, so still $360,000, and it's still more expensive per month in terms of a monthly mortgage payment than it would have been had you purchased the $400,000 house before interest rates rose. So my concern is this. The Federal Reserve released a statement not too long ago. I'm going to see if I can find it for you guys, but they released a statement indicating that interest rates will continue to rise, and they're trying to get a handle on inflation. Jerome Powell indicated that 6 or 7 more rate hikes are expected this year. So my fear is that, and I'm not trying to put panic in anyone, I just want to share my thoughts, and I encourage you guys to drop me a comment down below. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please like this video if you're getting any kind of value out of it. And share this video also with anyone who you think could get value out of this as well. Maybe you know someone who's looking to sell a house, or maybe someone who's looking to buy a house, whatever the case is. But the thing is if interest rates keep going up, which I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, inflation is a big deal. I mean, go to any grocery store and look at the grocery prices, and you see inflation right in your face. You go to get gas, you're at the gas station, and you tell me that you don't see gas prices higher today than they were, say, last year. Inflation is right in our faces for many different reasons, but higher interest rates are going to be coming out of the Fed. So with that, higher mortgages are going to be coming. Higher interest rates for mortgages is going to be coming. So I feel like the only way to counterbalance these higher interest rates would be an unprecedented housing crash, which I just don't see happening. We don't have an excess of inventory at all. In fact, we don't have enough inventory now. So we don't have a 2008 scenario at all. We don't have unqualified people buying houses. We don't have all sorts of 0% interest rate mortgages sitting out there and adjustable rate mortgages waiting to crash in mass quantities. So today versus 2008, totally different story. I'm starting to think that if anything, housing prices flatten. Maybe housing prices pull back just a little bit, maybe 5%, maybe if that, right? So my point is this: if you're trying to buy a house today, and sorry, my arm's getting tired. If you're trying to buy a house, your goal is to buy a house. I would strongly consider what's it going to take to get a house today, because if these interest rates keep going up and prices don't come down. See, here's the thing. For every 1% your interest rate goes up, your house has to fall by 10% in order for that mortgage payment to stay the same. And that's just a very unlikely scenario in this marketplace. And I just showed you guys the math. Like how much more your mortgage payment would increase for every percentage that it goes up. The price of the price of the house has to fall tremendously to offset this added monthly mortgage payment cost. It's just crazy. So my point is I feel like the longer you wait, the worse off you might be. Now, this is not financial advice at all, but I'm just thinking, like, let's just say you're planning on putting, I don't know, 10% down on a $40,000 house, right? Because you got to prove. All right, so let's just say you got a $40,000 house. You're putting 10% down. That's $40,000. But you know, that was based on interest rates, say a few months back, 3%. But today, interest rates are 5%. So now you can't quite afford that $400,000 house anymore. You can only really afford to finance $330,000 to keep your mortgage payment the same. So now, not only would you have to put down your previously determined down payment, you have to fill the gap between the price of the house and the amount that the bank is willing to finance you for. So if your house is $400,000 that you're looking to buy, but the bank says, hey, you can only afford the payment of $330,000. So that means the bank's only going to be able to give you $330,000. You need to put a down payment down of $70,000. Unless you got an extra $70,000 laying around that you could plunk down to make your down payment fill the gap between the $400,000 and the $330,000. I just feel like home ownership is going to get further and further out of reach for a lot of people who want to buy a house. So these are my concerns for today. I'm going to wrap it up. I just want to share this with you guys. I'd love to hear from you guys, though. Let me know what you guys think about this thought process, this analysis. Do you think that the housing market will crash to the extent that I'm discussing now? Do you think that the housing market won't crash? And what are your thoughts on interest rates going forward? And here's the other thing. The more people who can't afford to buy new houses, those are additional renters sitting on the market, driving up demand for more rentals. You guys see where this is going. So if there's more demand for more rentals, what do you think is going to happen with rentals? Rental prices are going to go up too. So making it even harder to buy a home, because higher interest rate or higher rent payments means less money that could be put aside for savings to get yourself into a house. So I'm just saying, I'm just looking at the market and seeing what's going on. But like I said, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and I will see you guys on the next video. Take care.